Hello everybody and welcome back to the Trans Culture Club podcast. I really missed everybody. I'm just gonna come out and say that it's getting to the point where I'm actually like counting down the days before I get to record again. Just me? Okay.
I'm definitely always like, I could talk about this. I hope they like it.
Yeah, that's cool.
I always like wake up the day of half an hour before recording and go, what? We record a podcast today? Okay. That's my process.
Literally me today.
Welcome everybody to episode 5 of our podcast. Today we are joined by a very special guest, one of our lovely and amazing and beautiful editors, Alicia.
Ooh, hi everyone.
Yes, I would absolutely not hesitate for a second to say the most critical part of the whole podcast, the editors. It's not work for 6 goofballs to sit down in front of microphones and talk about things they like. The editing is the work. So
you guys make everything sound like so good.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of work, but someone has to do it. I mean,
yeah, it's true.
Because we're not
so humble, so unassuming.
I'm too dumb to do it. Thank you.
You're not just joining us today as an editor. You are also here to talk about a fairly important topic, which we will get to later. I think if you're familiar with Alicia's work, you can probably guess what it is. But yeah, we'll get to that later. Is there anything? Do you want to introduce yourself at all? Tell people like what kind of stuff you do.
Yeah, I am a university student in the UK. I like to watch a lot of anime. I also like a lot of idol stuff. So like I listen to a lot of Japanese music and stuff like that. And I just write out about a lot of stuff that I watch and just share my opinions, whether people like them or not. In a nutshell, really. And some of them end up not being what people agree with. Like, I do not like Pop Team Epic as much as people like to rave on it and stuff like that. But I'll say it, but
pulling the pre-podcast discussion into the podcast. I'm always a fan of that. It's a power play, classic power play.
I've just got to call some people out for some wrong opinions. That's all.
No.
Well, no. This is a perfect opportunity. You edit the podcasts and you get to listen to all of our stupid, dumb opinions. And you don't get a platform on which to disagree with them. So if you want to rapid fire, just say all the things that we've said that are bad and wrong.
Everything?
Oh, no. That was the correct answer. Well done. You passed. Should we? I mean, heck, we were literally just talking about Pop Team Epic. We could impromptu topic that if you want.
Nah, I just find it a bit of a really badly structured show that ruins all the comedy, even if it gets to be funny, but I don't think I have too much doubt other than that, really.
Fair enough. I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll take that one and we'll put it in our back pockets, and if we get to the end of the podcast and we've not filled up enough space, then we'll pull that one out and we can have a fight about Pop Team Epic.
This is the glamorous behind the scenes of podcasting.
Yeah, we just decide when we're gonna drop down, drag out fight over anime. Good shit.
Oh my goodness. I would love to suggest like a monthly fight club. Just get all the stuff we disagree about and just you leave all the the podcasting civility at the door and just get rough.
I love fighting.
Yeah. Oh, that KyoAni Fight Club is definitely going to happen. We have to make sure that lines up. That's just too good not to do.
There was a lot going on there, I noticed.
There's a lot of conflicting opinions, specifically about KyoAni stuff on this podcast, and I love it.
I still don't understand the like one thing I mean, I know it's not really what we're talking about, but one thing I noticed from that discussion, which was really getting to me, is that I don't get the appeal of Hyoka. I'm sorry, I don't get the appeal of Hyoka.
Yes, that's like that. You like complete the hexagon of conflicting opinions there. I think we needed an anti-Hyoka person to complete the cycle.
Hyoka was so dull; it was sending me to sleep.
Oh yes, I'm so happy. I love Hyoka. Let's fight. So we've got anti-UFO, we've got anti-Kaon, we've got anti-Hyoka now. That's like the big three. That is the inverted pyramid of discourse.
I can definitely come in from the side and talk about how I hated I want to say Kata no Kyokai. That's not what it is, because I love Kata no Kyokai.
Kyokai no Kanata.
I hate that shit. Anyway.
Oh God, we have to do that. Yeah. But no, let's get on to our actual first topic. Ferris,
should we introduce everyone else first?
Oh shit!
Oh, yeah,
I thought I've derailed everything.
They all know us all by now.
I guess it's not as important anymore. You're right, though. I definitely dropped the ball on that. We have Ferris, Brooke, and Lachlan on this podcast.
Hey.
Say hey. There we go. Done. Fixed it.
You did it.
Real talk, Alicia. Did I forget anything else? I'm super tired.
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
I don't know why the guest has to correct the host, but you know.
Well, it's because that's what this podcast is.
we're disaster gay. Quadrant.
Every single one of us is just a huge disaster gay.
I'd say emphasize the disaster, but it's very, very gay as well. So
yeah. But yeah, back on track. Ferris, you just got back from a convention with a new cosplay.
I got back from SakuraCon in Seattle last week. For anyone who's not aware, it's just kind of the biggest convention in Washington that's like anime centric. I know they have Emerald City Comic Con up there as well. This is my first year. I usually like do the booth babe cosplayer shit up there, but this year I was just kind of freewheeling. They had Mana from Malice Miser out there as a guest, who is now relaunching or kind of reviving his Gothic Lolita brand, and I'm gonna fuck up the name because it's French. It's Moi Mem Moitié, MMM. And then they also had Okubo Rumi, who recently voiced Astolfo, my Patronus from Fate Apocrypha, out there, and yeah, it was a good time. Notably, I guess I did body paint for the first time for a costume. So I was Ibaraki Doji from Fate Grand Order, and she's like this Oni little asshole. So her hands and like her feet are all like tattooed, and her hands are red and her feet are red. So I'm like in the bathroom with like this body paint. Apparently it was advertised as something that was used in the X-Men movies for like Mystique and Nightcrawler. It smells like rubbing alcohol. It gets everywhere. After I was done in the bathtub, it looked like the Psycho movie killer had been there.
I was going to say, you posted a picture of your feet just covered in red on Twitter. And you gave me kittens. I swear to God. I was like, how did you fuck up your feet that bad? Like, has all of your skin come off? What the fuck?
I know, it looked like I stuck my feet in like an oil fryer, but it's literally like the body paint is technically called alcohol activated makeup, so the stuff only goes on and off with an alcohol solution. But me being the brilliant genius I am, I was like, oh, my makeup remover has alcohol in it, so it should be fine. And then I get there and I look at the bottle and it's like alcohol free, and I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like in the tub scrubbing my feet, just like praying for it all to come off. They're finally normal colored now, but it took about a week.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that was mostly the ins and outs of SakuraCon. It was great to see like everyone cosplaying out there. There's always such a really cool cosplayer turnout. The city loves it. Like all the Starbucks had like a special SakuraCon Frappuccino where they like
that's cool.
Cool.
they'll make like cherry flavored whipped cream for us. It's so good.
Oh
my God.
And then
real talk, I could just go to that convention and just not leave Starbucks.
Oh my God. Literally, that's what we do because we had like this secret Starbucks out behind our hotel where it wasn't full of weeaboos. So it was pretty quiet most days, and like we just get coffee, and it was so good. And I didn't get the SakuraCon Frappuccino this year, but usually they do like a cherry whipped cream, so like it's all cute and pink on top, and then they'll mix in like strawberries into the matcha frappuccino mix. It's really good.
I will be having my first AnimeCon experience and my first AnimeCon cosplay experience in just about a little over a month here now.
Yay! Where are you going?
Oh my God.
I'm heading out to Asen, meeting Zaria halfway for each of us. So we'll get to see each other there and hang out. I've got my trusty Astolfo outfit, casual Astolfo. I'm very excited, very excited.
It's gonna be so good. I've been to Asen a couple times. It's fun.
American cons seem so much better than UK ones, just saying.
Oh yeah. It does. I mean, cons are definitely on my to-do list, so is cosplay at some point.
Please do.
I really want to, but it's like money.
I did one con about a year and a half ago now. With Hyper Japan over here in London. About yeah. I did a cosplay for it, but it was just like a quickly bought last minute one because I decided to go last minute as well. But it was fun. It was fun. But like UK cons and I don't usually get too many guests. Hyper Japan's a bit different because like they do a lot of music guests, which is why it possibly interests me more than MCM. Yeah. Like when I went, they had Charisma.com. They had a couple of others as well, like some really good artists, which I liked, which is the main reason I went. Also to meet people, but yeah. But like MCM, it's just like, which is the main UK cons. You're just paying like £40-50 basically to go into a market hall with overpriced anime goods.
Yeah.
That's basically what a UK con is. There's not really that many guests often, or the guests are all with extra expenses you have to pay on top. It's not really that great, really.
I really do appreciate kind of the access we get to guests, especially on the West Coast, just because we're close to Japan, I'm assuming. Yeah. And we have a lot of the anime and manga / pop culture companies out here, like Viz, Crunchyroll. They're all in San Francisco. So yeah, it's good access. If you ever have a chance to like fly internationally and come to this like steaming pile of garbage country we are right now, at least you can have some good nerd content.
Yeah. I think for me, personally, all things being equal, as in like not going to meet friends, right? Just based on the con itself, the kind of con I think I could see myself really going to more would be gaming conventions.
Oh,
I feel like there would be.
Oh yeah.
There would just be more for me to do and more that would get my interest on a show floor of a gaming con.
Right.
I think, than an anime convention. Because the one thing I always worry about going to an anime convention is literally just walking around the entire show floor and not seeing anything I want to do. Because I'm not a super invested anime fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, if I wasn't cosplaying and I didn't know people at an anime con, I'd probably like take 1 or 2 spins around like Artist Alley and check the program, see like one thing a day I want to do. So I'll just like find a bar nearby and drink.
That sounds like exactly what I would do. I'd love to check out art, and then I would, like, I could maybe see myself attending a panel if it was something kind of like a cool topic, or maybe I don't even know, like, voice actors I like, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I have kind of seen clips of voice actor panels, and it's kind of not super exciting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think mostly, like, 90% of the appeal of anime conventions to me are the people I would be spending time with. I think most people tend to use them like for that purpose, though.
Yeah,
like
as an
social
excuse
gatherings.
for a social event. I mean,
Yeah.
ASEN definitely. Like, the only reason I decided to go there was because it was, like, the best convenient time and place to go hang out with Zaria, finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely can see more things just kind of being of interest at something like PAX, which I want to go to one day. Please, fingers crossed. But like for
See,
anime
I would
conventions
be so down
now,
to go to PAX with you.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Or like, well, the gaming con that I really have my eye on is Gamescom in Germany, because not only do I have a ton of German friends, it's also just like such a huge, like, it's not like E3, which is mostly an industry event. It's like a full-on, like, walk in and play games kind of thing. Kind of like, I guess PAX is like that as well.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means like I can walk out into a porta potty and find people playing Melty Blood.
I mean, probably. I have to imagine there's some FGC stuff happening at at gaming cons. I still don't really know what Melty Blood is. It's a fighting game, right, with anime characters?
It's Type Moon Tsukihime / characters from the Tsukihime universe.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
And it has kind of its own storyline, and people play it in alleyways and in the back of pickup trucks and in broom closets and porta potties.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to do conventions. I just kind of want to get out there and meet people, you know, more than anything else.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I've kind of really dragged my heels in the last like 2-3 years without meeting up with people. Mostly just because I've been out as Brooke online for like years at this point. But you know, I've not been out in person, if that makes sense. I haven't been like full time.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
And I've just been like not wanting to show up to like not wanting to show up as someone else, basically.
Yeah.
But like now I'm like, you know, a handful of weeks away from going full time. Like that is something I'm looking into the future and thinking, oh shit, I should meet my friends. You know. It'd just be nice to have some of that money to be able to do it.
Yeah, like most of my closest social circle now are people I met at conventions. And honestly, they're just like so supportive and nice. And now conventions are kind of like the place where I can go, and everyone like uses the correct pronouns and doesn't misgender me. And it's like just such an encouraging experience.
I can imagine.
No, part of the reason I wasn't impatient for a little while here was the fact that like I wanted to go meet up with all these friends I was making, you know, online, but like kind of didn't want to meet up with them as my current self at that stage.
Sure.
But yeah, now definitely, I'm excited to go hang out with them. Anime Expo is going to be the big one because like everyone's in California, and everyone, like half the people who aren't in California, you know, will be there for AX. So that's going to be a very, very packed, busy social event for myself.
Are you going? Because it's literally in my backyard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's right there. So, you know, hit me up.
Will do.
Woohoo!
What about you, bro? Couldn't out to AX?
No. That would be so expensive for me, personally.
It would.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't know if I could ever really justify spending several thousand.
Yeah.
You know, on a convention, especially because I have friends in the UK who went to AX last year and are just like, I fucking hate it. I hated it. It was miserable.
It's hot and crowded, so it's kind of an experience.
Yeah.
There are a few people I know who literally go from the UK to AX every year just because UK cons are so bad.
Oh man.
Yeah. But
Well,
they
anime-
seem to enjoy
no.
it. They seem to enjoy it.
I was just about to say, but we don't even have any good like gaming cons or anything, do we?
EGX Resd is about the only one, and even then that's not too great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we shouldn't dwell too much on broader con topics just because it's going to be such a recurring topic, you know. But yeah, I feel like there's definitely going to be over the course of this podcast several my first con stories.
Yay!
You know,
Oh, yes, there will be.
To get, yeah, and that will always be fun. And of course, you know, there is maybe one day the lofty goal that we might have a panel at a con.
Oh, wow.
That would
yes.
definitely
that
setting
would
the
be great.
sights very high.
Yeah, that would to me when I set like what is the like end game, like top tier wish list, like what's like the best case scenarios for like where this podcast could go. Having a panel at a con would be pretty much the top of that.
I think that would be fantastic. I would love to do that.
Yeah. Well, we've got to keep grinding that weekly upload. That's
Do
that's
it.
how we
Let's
get
do
there.
One day.
Extra motivation
Yeah.
now.
But yeah, let's move on to an actual like you know.
A meteor topic. Something we can't sink our teeth into.
Yeah, that's right. A meaty topic.
See what I
Let's
did
talk
there?
about. Oh, what did you do? Sorry.
Arby's.
I said meaty.
We have the meat.
Oh, I've got it. Oh. Yeah. Okay, that was good. I seriously, I am quite tired. Okay.
It's
No.
okay. You know.
Let's get. Yeah. So the topic is corporations being shit. That's what I've written down. And of course, I think we're going to have to specify.
Corporate fandom exploitation.
Yeah, definitely just like big corporations using social media to pander to fandoms. Which I'm trying to think where to start. Should we start with Sassy Wendy's?
I mean, there was Sassy Wendy's. There was, even before Sassy Wendy's, I think there was kind of like Denny's shit posting, which wasn't exactly like fandom exploitation as much as it was them realizing that people in the kind of millennial age group are fucking weird. And
Yeah.
they kind of learned to
So
channel
true.
that. I think there was a span of time, like maybe a week or so, where Nature's Valley granola bars of all things were like making anime references and people were losing their mind.
Oh yeah, that was Jackie's fault actually. Yeah.
Oh my
I
god,
remember
what?
that, yeah.
Do I need to sit Jackie down and just be like, look what
That
you've
sounds
done?
like something Jackie would definitely do.
There's some
If
deep
I,
lore
if I
there.
remember, if I remember right, I think it was Jackie, or at least like Jackie and a couple of others. They were sending ads to different companies, just like who's your favorite anime girl and like who's your favorite Love Live and stuff like that. And then Nature Valley actually responded, and that's sort of what caused everything to blow up from there.
I'm
was something
going
like
to
that,
fight
yeah.
Jackie in the pit.
I was gonna say, I wonder if Jackie is like responsible for Arby's posting pictures of like fate stuff.
Jackie sowed the seeds for
We're
Arby's.
complaining about the monster we created.
Oh no! I didn't know this was going to be so close to home.
That's really funny. I had no idea.
Like-
But yeah, so
I guess this
Go
is
on.
my topic, so I guess I can drive it. I can,
Go for it.
I can grab the wheel, Mad Max that shit in and say, "Fuck Arby's." They have the meat. For anyone who isn't familiar with Arby's on social media, they do this thing, and I'm just gonna open up their Twitter page like right now and give myself a coronary because.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Yeah. At the top, I see Persona 5 pinned post. You scroll down, you see The Sandlot, you see My Hero Academia,
yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Oh no. Yu-Gi-Oh.
Cowboy Bebop.
Oh no, I'm looking at these two. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, it's just like post after post after post of pictures of their food coupled with like cardboard cutouts or like sauce drawings of nerd shit, like Land of the Lustrous. What really got me mad is they finally made a Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works reference. And Archer is my husbando. I make no bones about it. I do not hide it. And the fact that they used him for capitalism and people were eating it up, just, it broke something inside my fragile psyche.
It is like, because it's so low effort, right? It's just paper art. You know, it's like something they could like print out in the office and just be like, yo.
Yeah.
Let's get... I mean, let's look at this stuff, right? Let's see. That Persona 5 one, I think, is really good. Oh, I need to go back to the Yu-Gi-Oh one. Persona 5 one almost has 10,000 retweets.
Jesus.
And it's from 2 days ago.
And like that just looks like. I mean, either it's just, you know, you stick it on a toothpick, you print it out, or they could have just photoshopped that one. That one's kind of one of their less cardboardy looking ones.
Yeah, some of them have been like fairly intricate and impressive. And part of me is happy that like this cardboard artist person like is getting work, but also I don't know like how consistent is that going to be, how soon they just get replaced by Arby's now that like they've got their gig and they could do it at a lower effort level. I'm not sure if this is like a like anime fan art production house, or if it's like a cool guy they found on Twitter and asked to do it.
So
here's two things I've seen that have made me just so sad. First off, that I have 12 mutual followers with Arby's.
Oh no!
12 of the people I follow are following Arby's.
Oh, I have 8. I have 8.
Let's see.
Yeah.
What's the damage?
I'm not shaming any of them, but I have 8.
Let's see. Is there any one of them here that I feel
only
good
5?
To shame?
There we go.
No, I don't think there's anyone on here that I really would just be like ready to call out.
Well,
no, I have 38. I have 38.
Oh my god.
Damn.
It's painful.
And the second thing I saw that made me really sad, just real quick, is Funimation.
Follows them, yeah.
Yeah, Funimation replying to the Yu-Gi-Oh thing with a GIF. It's just corporations
corporate social media accounts like interacting with and congratulating each other.
I hate it so much.
The thing that gets me about when that happens though is that like you'll see maybe one of them make like a joke and then the other one reply and then with another joke and then people are like, oh, this is the most hilarious, best thing ever.
Oh, I know. I'm like, no, they know exactly what they're doing.
It's just because of the fact, oh my god, I can't believe that these two corporate accounts are letting their hair down.
I know. It's like when I drop my pants and wank on Twitter. No one likes that. But as soon as Arby's and Funimation start doing that,
like that,
oh, I know. I guess some people would, but I mean, in the wider social media world, that would not get 6,000 retweets.
No, probably not that viral.
Depends how good it was, though.
I mean, yeah, I think if I wore like an Astolfo cosplay, I don't know.
Yeah, because here's the thing, I want to believe that there
retweets.
There is a selfie wanking vid out there that is powerful enough to get 6,000 retweets.
I believe
I just have to believe that is like achievable.
I think it would absolutely happen.
Here's a question: if something like that got viral, would corporations then jump on that as well?
Ooh,
now that is something I can get down with. If we get like YouPorn, I was about to say, if we get like YouPorn Katie like challenging McDonald's to squirt competition. Oh my god.
We found it. We found how to break Arby's.
Okay, that's actually a really beautiful natural
Watch someone
segue.
Flick it while wearing a Naruto merkin.
Oh god.
I do actually kind of want to say that like there's a lot of porn sites out there with genuinely pretty good social media stuff. I've seen like Pornhub doing a lot of sexual health awareness stuff.
Mm-hmm.
which I can absolutely get down with that. That's corporation shit I can get down with.
That's the sort of thing I think they should be doing, really. Not
Absolutely.
Not like the more meme stuff. I think they should, like, if there's a topic that's relevant to what they sell, that would be a good thing to bring awareness to. Then if they were doing that, then that is a good reason to be like, okay, this is a good social media. This is a good thing that they're doing. Maybe this deserves support. I sometimes don't feel, oh, look, they've referenced this thing I like. I need to go and buy their burgers now. No.
Yeah.
Well,
Right?
this tweet, I think, is sort of peak that from Arby's. It says, remember Metabots? Haha, anyway, buy Arby's. So...
Is that a real tweet? That sounds like a
yes,
nihilistic
that is a real
Arby's.
almost
tweet.
seems self-aware. Like, I'd assumed, like, the idea there, the joke is that, like, they're making fun of the fact that it's just, like, blatant, cynical nostalgia / fandom exploitation that they're playing into with their social media campaign. Because you're right, it sounds like a parody of an Arby's tweet, like, pointing out the blatant barefacedness of what they're doing here.
And it's still got 7,300 retweets.
And 25,000
It's
likes,
self-
yeah.
referencing self-consuming capitalism. And like, okay, here's the thing that really drives me crazy about it is everyone's like, oh, ha, this is just an intern. No, I've like in my day job, I'm close to the sort of stuff that's like social media advertising on Twitter and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They probably hired some agency, pumped like thousands and thousands of dollars into this other company, and they came back and said, you know who you should talk to? Nerds. You know what we can do for you? If you give us like $20,000 a month or whatever, we will make X number of posts and we will do this. You'll say okay and we'll launch it. And then we'll measure it. And then every retweet and every reply gets like a dollar value assigned to it for how much money this other company outside of Arby's is making for Arby's. Because I have seen people straight up be like, oh, haha, they referenced Fate. I'm going to go buy their curly fries. Like, it's so much. It's so much.
I mean, because I'm on YouTube and I've done a few like sponsorship deals and the such, like the social media numbers in like a very real and direct manner just translate to money. So like, as fun and goofy as it is for them, it is just sort of business.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like the whole like social media intern is such like an outdated misconception.
Yeah. You could have
It's
said
like
that
the
about 10
social
years
media
ago.
executive can be like some of the biggest positions at companies these days.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Certainly for an operation like Arby's, yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Like
These
5,
days-
10 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe saying, oh, they just hired an intern would be accurate because social media wasn't
yeah,
as
for
big.
sure.
Especially if you were trying to experiment on a new social media platform, like say, like a new one that was just like people, like I'm sure the first accounts start like the first like brand account that did stuff on say Instagram or something. They probably may have been run by interns because it's a new, more
It would have been people in the
experimental
marketing
thing.
department. I'm pretty sure it'd have been like,
Yeah. But it still would have likely been interns then. Now, no, you're not going to have interns doing that because social media is such a big part of the advertising now.
Yeah, you're not going to risk, like, you know, your thousands, tens of thousands of followers and, like, how much money that gets put onto, like, promoting tweets and Facebook posts and stuff on some kid you're not paying. It's not going to happen.
Like, Arby's has 816,000 followers. They're not going to put that on just some random kid. No.
Here is the thing, though, that is kind of magical about social media. Okay, let's compare like a social media advertisement, like one tweet to one TV spot commercial, like 30-second TV commercial. Okay, the amount of people involved in that 30-second spot and oversight as well. Like, you know, probably talking like hundreds of people. That footage will have passed through so many hands. Will have like gone from probably like an outside company who made it to like, let's say, McDonald's who checked it, who then pass it on to a station. Like that, at minimum, you would expect there to be 3 separate organizations involved with that whole process.
Oh yeah.
A social media, one tweet for social media, that's one person. Which means you get these incredible moments when that one person just says, fuck it.
Yeah. Like the I'm quitting my job
You know what I mean?
tweets. Yeah.
It's like, the dude who's like quitting his job, so he goes on the McDonald's Facebook page, or the Twitter account, and just says some like crazy bullshit.
Okay, I'm not going to say who it was or what organization they work for, but I definitely know someone who did this recently. And went into their company's Twitter account on their last day and announced who their waifu was. So,
the thing is, that tweet probably did like really well.
I mean, in some ways, if it is something like a bit like that is just like say, oh, this is my waifu, and it's just some random person who's on their last day, they might not even be bothered about that because since it's so off-brand and it would probably get more viral, it's like, and since it isn't exactly damaging to them,
as long as it's not like I quit, this company's like terrible. Blah, blah, blah. Because that's the kind of attention you don't necessarily want.
Yeah, it probably would have helped the company more than anything, so they might not have been too bothered.
I think in the fallout they deleted it, but honestly, like I'm sure it's different. A certain personality of company would just be like, yeah, fuck it, let it go. Yeah, let's see what happens. And then in this horrifying capitalist world, there is a very good chance that a whole new social media marketing strategy would be born out of that, which is I think horrifying.
As I understand it, like Smug Wendy's person, like whoever it was that ran the Twitter's account and like started the Smug Wendy's thing, Sassy Wendy's thing, they left relatively soon after. Like they were out of there even as the Wendy's account kept up that whole persona that
that person would have got no credit, no raise, nothing, because like what they are doing on Twitter with that account could literally just be done by anyone. And as soon as they realize like, oh, this works, let's get a professional to do it.
I
mean, wasn't that happened in the UK as well? Because like there was one of the Waterstones bookstores had a really good engaging account. It wasn't trying to make like jumping on nostalgia and jumping on memes or anything like that. It was just making really more casual tweets about say books that were coming out and stuff like that, and really engaging. And they did a really good job. And there, I think it's Innocent Smoothies now in the UK, and they do the same thing. Which that sort of thing is a bit better because it's not like, oh yeah, let's bank on some nostalgia. Let's just be deliberately sassy and stuff like that. No, they just do some like genuine, like just some more like
I guess
almost like it's coming, basically making a persona of the brand, but instead of being a more sassy or almost off-brand persona, it's just like a more down to earth. It's always just like somebody talking normally. But
it's
just
genuine.
Like yes, it's genuine.
You don't feel like it's being exploited or there's nothing like big being done. It's just someone genuinely talking about books because they like books, and like that doesn't feel as like snide and cynical as like the Arby's shit does.
The real rub of these things is the insincerity of it all.
Yeah. Well, here's an example I really like, which I did mention before, like YouPorn Katie, right? Like the official YouPorn Twitter account is called YouPorn Katie, and it's just her account. Like I'll read you like a selection of tweets from YouPorn Katie. You've got ads for videos, right? Which you would expect, obviously. Like Fap along with harlot Taylor Sands gets laid. That's like the most recent one. But then if you go then if you go down a little bit, it's retweet if you love big sausage pizza. Then you got some words of wisdom. Maturity is attractive. Having your shit together is attractive. Having ambitions and goals is attractive. Knowing what you want is attractive. You know, more wisdom. Body wants sex, heart wants love, mind wants both.
Yeah.
There's I'm very interested in this, to be honest, with a picture of Durex chicken tikka masala condoms. You know what I mean? Like there's like before the brand almost, there is the personality of this person, this like very specific person that they basically have to be their social media face almost.
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting, actually. I don't see a lot of companies kind of taking that angle, just because I think a lot of them might be concerned about, how many people are we going to appeal to? And if it's one specific personality, it kind of narrows that audience that would be like, yes, I am interested in this person.
Yeah, because go on.
I feel it might sound weird, but I feel as a porn site they can get away with that more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
Yeah,
it's not like there's any oversight or
not even that. I mean,
professional standards you would hold a porn site to anywhere near the same degree.
Yeah, even though a porn site is still really big, and it's not like you're talking about some small company here. At the same time, people don't expect them to be as corporate as say a McDonald's or a Wendy's, and also I think just the sort of content it is, it's not I don't think it's something that should happen, but people do look down on it. So I feel like having a more personable account probably actually works for them more anyway.
Yeah, going for this sort of professional vibe with your stuff isn't really an option for something that's viewed in the manner it is. And also just sort of the nature of porn, having these individual personalities, the individual porn stars, makes that individual
I don't think
social
YouPorn
media
Katie
account.
is a porn star.
Oh, not necessarily the porn star, but having a more personal account works for a porn site.
McDonald's doesn't
Sure.
have real people that are just actual people that you sort of follow and have an understanding to some degree of the personalities of. Whereas if you're following porn Twitters, you can follow the various porn stars and have their Twitters and have that degree of personal social media connection with them. So going that same more personal route for their official company social media makes sense and sort of falls in with the atmosphere the industry has.
I mean, do Pornhub actually have their own Twitter account, or is it just the Pornhub?
That was the example I gave. YouPorn Katie is at YouPorn.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That is their official Twitter account.
It seems to be it is technically the company Twitter account, but it's just some person who's running the account, really.
Yeah, and I think to a degree, sites like Waypoint and Crunchyroll definitely have a similar thing where you kind of, if you follow that account for long enough, you kind of you learn who is running those Twitters, and there's so much of their personality and sense of humor bleeds through.
Plus, in some ways, Miles, for example, his Twitter account, as well as being his own personal thing, is almost like a second Crunchyroll account in some ways. He responds to people asking questions about Crunchyroll on there, and he does talk a lot about Crunchyroll there, but he also gives his own opinions, so it's almost like a second account for him. But again, anime is sort of a bit more of a personalized industry. The anime streaming industry does seem a lot more personalized anyway, so you can get away with stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Through the official and the people working there.
That was a good topic.
Yeah, fuck Arby's.
Yeah.
Fuck Arby's and go porn.
Go porn! Yeah!
Yes, porn is good. Holy shit, those porn sites make so much money there.
Systematic and structural issues with the porn industry that lead to widespread exploitation, and not to downplay those issues, but on this point, at the very least, porn, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
I wonder if it says more about us that we approve more of porn accounts than we do of other things. I'm wondering if that says something about us more than anything, but who knows, whatever.
I feel I don't know, I feel there is actually kind of, I guess maybe a side tangent here. I follow a few porn stars on Twitter. Not for them sharing porn, but just because they're fucking cool crazy and interesting people.
Yeah.
And like I know a few like people who used to do porn who went on to do other things that are like Mia Khalifa is a really good example. I think she's a Twitch streamer now. And I've seen her on like podcasts. I've listened to Asa Akira do podcasts as well. And it's not always about porn, but I feel like that's kind of a cool thing which you definitely wouldn't have had back in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah. No, Bailey J, who is one of the bigger transgender porn stars, she has like a podcast with a pretty solid following, I believe.
I think I'm aware of that. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
I've definitely seen her Twitter pop up a few times, and I'm like, yeah, sounds good. I like you.
I should follow more porn stars on Twitter, I think. They could come away from this.
Yeah, no, do. Porn stars are cool people.
Yeah, book club. Follow more porn stars.
Your assignment next week is Hot Asian Beauty.
We probably could talk for 40 minutes about a porn pretty easily.
Oh, yeah. Without
the
question.
in-depth analysis you all are craving.
Okay. So, I was worried that we didn't have enough pre-topics to go into, but I think it's now slightly like on the other end. I feel like we should cut this off because we have a really juicy topic.
We should get into the good shit.
Yeah. So, I think anybody who has really been paying attention to, I mean, even like half of the actual podcast hosts' Twitters over the last, maybe not the last week, but definitely the week before and the week before that, will, and Alicia especially, if anyone follows Alicia or is familiar with her work, will have heard about the Flying Colours Foundation. That's it.
Foundation.
Yeah.
The Flying Colours Corporation would be a bit too
the
insidious.
FCC.
Even
FCC.
for their lack of subtlety, that'd be a bit much.
They try to be more subtle than that, yeah.
Yeah. So I am the least informed of our four hosts today. I think there's like a degree, a gradient perhaps of informedness, which will be good. This was just a whole kerfuffle. Like that's what I picked up.
Kerfuffle.
Like I just a hecking big kerfuffle. And I guess I'm gonna really just be like passing this one off to Alicia and Lachlan too. I know Lachlan, you're very informed on this topic as well. So yeah, Alicia, just start us from the beginning. Like, what is FCF? What is the Flying Colours Foundation? Well, what was it?
The Flying Colours Foundation was like a charity, a registered non-profit set in California who were trying to basically, in their words, give the Western anime community a voice in Japan. So they were trying to, through things like surveys and like some of their council plans included things like possibly getting involved within the production committee system and stuff like that, and funding anime that would align with the Western voices that they got through their work, and basically give the Western anime industry, Western anime fandom more influence within the industry with one of their main goals, really.
Let's talk about that. How do we feel about that goal? If we just take that as exactly what Alicia said, no more, no less, as a goal, do we think that's a noble goal? Do we think that's maybe necessary or unnecessary? What do we think?
It seems ideologically misguided. I don't know. I think, like, if nothing else, at the stage of sort of misconception of the industry, widespread misconception of the anime industry and how it works in the West, whatever, like, consensus unified voice on what should be done or what should happen that would emerge from that community would be one that should not be listened to. And so for me, the sort of concept of aggregating what they want done and their advice for the anime industry, having us step in to sort of provide our knowledge and insight and correct this other industry is something that I'm just at a base level very cautious about.
I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily what I was thinking of, based on how Alicia just described it. I was thinking more like at a very simple level, like we want a sports anime with a female cast. If that is like a wish that could be channeled via such a channel.
No, that'd be really cool. I just have minimal sort of confidence in the idea that is like the dominant request that would emerge from again this sort of aggregation of the general dominant community desires, right?
That's a really good point. Like, what would be like? I guess I'm kind of curious now. Like what actually would have got funneled through something like that?
In my cynical brain, nothing good. Like, no. I cannot see the masses, just based on what I've seen on Anna Twitter, as like yielding anything of socially conscious good.
Yeah.
I feel like getting into FCF more would give an idea about why it would be just such a bad idea. I feel like, at the very best, that sort of idea is naive. But the way they were going to execute it would probably have had a negative effect, I feel, because I don't know what's the best way to say it without sounding like I'm talking down, but I think making business decisions based on the voices of a subset of a very large industry can lead to an idea that sometimes, especially if you're trying to point yourself as the voice of the West, and like it can give the idea that it's what everyone wants. You are sort of maybe giving some voices a louder, what's the way to put it? A bigger platform than they necessarily have agreement for. Like, they may say, oh yeah, like, this is ignoring, like, some of the ideological problems with it. But, like, if you're just saying that, if you go with the assumption it's a good thing, you could say they've got lots of responses saying people want a Death Note Season 2. Like, there we go. Lots of people are saying they want more Death Note. So let's...
Did this, specifically mention, extra seasons of anime, too? Like, do you want an extra season of your favorite show? Like, tell the industry you want that.
That would get money. That would get money out of people, for sure.
That was one of the things, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, I thought they said that. And that's a good point about the specific voices being given a platform, because in spite of their purporting that they'd sort of be speaking for the Western anime community, the reach they had was largely going to be YouTube-based. They are influencers, which are the people that would do most of the heavy lifting of actually getting their things out there, their surveys and the such, from which they draw their conclusions about what the community is and wants, would be driven by anime YouTubers. So really the Western anime community that they'd be representing to the Japanese anime industry would be the Western anime community who follows anime YouTubers relatively closely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say much more about how they could possibly have expanded that reach, because it does get into more about what they were going to do overall, but based on where they were at the point when they were starting, then yeah, they would have had a very limited reach, and then they were pushing themselves with companies as a voice for the Western anime fandom, and with, at least at the start, being such a small subset, it's
going to be a skewed...
very, very skewed
of what the community actually is, yeah.
And I think it's worth asking, does the West really deserve or need a voice in the anime industry. Like, you're talking
we have
about
one.
like putting having production and I guess funding decisions based off of end users who are so culturally different, have different priorities, probably have agendas. And like, why can't we just continue voting with our money? Why do we need to actually have people saying we need to put more Western appeal into an industry? Like, I don't get it. I'm not sold on that.
That would happen naturally anyway, right? Like that's how I guess I see it, is that like the West already has a voice and it's our money.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
Like look at something. I think a really good example would be something like Yuri on Ice, right? Which I think you could argue that Yuri on Ice has almost a broader Western appeal than I know it was a really big deal in the West as far as anime go.
It was huge in Japan as well. It
definitely
got to be. Arguably, you could say that it's one of the biggest anime series in the West in the last 10 years. Arguably,
yeah, and I think that was a property that was built for that purpose almost. Like if you look at how international that series is in terms of its subject matter and how inclusive it is, you know, you've got stuff in there that like anyone could tune in from around the world and relate to. You've got LGBT content, you've got international content, you've got sport content, stuff that like, you know, the Winter Olympics is something that every country in the world is part of, you know. So it's just got such a really broad appeal. Something that's set in like a Japanese high school will never really achieve, just because that is so much more niche in its own way.
Yeah,
they got that Western money as a result, and that's our voice. Our money is our voice, I think.
Yeah, everyone can understand the stakes of an international sporting competition because we do it every 4 years.
Yeah.
Yuri on Ice definitely had not just a Western, an international appeal. And that is
absolutely
one of the trademarks of its director, Sayo Yamamoto. Her directorial debut was Michiko to Hachin, which took place in South America.
Yeah, there you go.
And then she did Fujiko Ine, which I believe is that like Italy, right? Because that's the whole Lupin thing.
Yeah, I think it was Italy.
So and there is a set of directors who have this more sort of international influence and view of things, and because of the reception of them internationally, they are elevated, and certainly Sayo Yamamoto, now that she's made this giant financial hit, should have leeway to continue making these series with that sort of perspective of hers.
Exactly, and that is our voice speaking, you know. Similarly, I think things like Dragon Ball Super, you know, you see, I have to imagine that the same headlines we saw about, 10,000 people in the streets of, God, was it Ecuador? I can't actually remember what country it was, watching the Dragon Ball Super finale.
It was Mexico, I think.
Okay,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, like literally a street full of people watching Dragon Ball Super finale on a huge TV.
I think Crunchyroll helped on that as well, because I'm sure Crunchyroll were involved in getting there was a huge park screen being put up and like a huge park watching the final finale together.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which is so good. It's so wholesome and so Dragon Ball. But like, I have to imagine those headlines, if we saw those headlines about something happening in Mexico, Japan's probably seeing them as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? Especially the people making Dragon Ball Super who are like, yeah, we could maybe fund more of that.
Yeah. No, and,
you know what I mean?
And the way FCF was going about it, which is unlike Japan having a series that does really well in the West and going, okay, so like this market likes this, and if we want to appeal to them, we can do this. And sort of make their own decisions based off of that. FCF was going to come in and sort of tell them what they should be doing to some degree or another. Yeah, whether that's like advice or commands, depending upon the action they'd be taking. And that feels like a little just kind of too close to some sort of like colonialist Western white savior mindset. to be very comfortable for me,
Oh,
at the very
yeah.
least.
I mean, like, I hadn't thought of it from that context, but as soon as you said it, it's like, oh yeah, of course, this is typical us bullshit, isn't it?
Especially the way they were putting it, because they were claiming to be an international voice, but everything they were doing was very focused on a Western and, in many ways, American-centric voice for the industry. And it's just then you thought of looking like, well, the way they were positioning themselves completely ignored some of the really big growing markets, such as like how China's arguably the biggest market now outside of Japan, not America.
Yeah,
But
I think
they didn't really have
monetarily
anything in that regard there. And I mean, you did not, like, it didn't really have anything
It
for
seemed to
France,
sort of like
which is quite a big market too.
Yeah.
So
Keep going. So from the flawed kind of goals, right? Where did it go from there? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, that's something.
Yeah. I think
how did they go about achieving these goals?
I think the best way to give a good broad basis on things is to just basically go through a timeline of what the company was doing until they officially fully launched with the with the census and then shut down just after. I think it's best to give a timeline is the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, sorry. But yeah, so this, like, even though they only just launched, it started up back at about July to August time. They'd started. Basically, they've been working on a for-profit venture that they had called Otaku Pin Club, which is still going. It's basically a lot of licensed merchandising pins, such as say ones of different anime series and stuff like that. And they were working on stuff including partnerships, including one of them with a YouTube influencer, Giguk. And they talked at Anime Expo last year, and apparently the discussion went on to things such as a non-profit with similar goals, which got registered just after. Then the Anime Man was working on a video to try and get an international anime fans top 100 anime, because they'd seen a poll based on a similar poll being done in Japan. After that, FCF got on board with it, helping with data analysis for it, which eventually came out in October, around the time when the video was published with the results. So FCF had been working on stuff before their launch, which was basically getting the results together on this poll that the Anime Man had ran, with all the stuff with basically what people had voted for the best anime and stuff like that. The FCF were basically trying to coordinate with Japanese companies to get communications, and then they were going to be able to help work with them to try and like get new anime funded and work with that. Part of their meetings, they'd actually create a PowerPoint of their early ideas, and this, like, one thing they'd been working on with things such as trying to help, say, get influencers to get involved within the anime production process and have them be involved and help to fund anime, with them keeping their non-profit, like giving away profits to charities. But the main thing was that they were going to be collecting all this data and working with Japanese companies on basically working out what Western fans would want and what international fans would want. But they were never clear on what they wanted to do with the data that they had. So, at least publicly, they weren't clear with other people. So, they were collecting all this data. They collected it from this old poll. They were going to collect it with the anime censors. And then they're saying, oh, well, we're going to share this data with Japanese companies, and we're going to be like, oh, well, we have this data which shows that these people want this show, and it seems that there's a broad basis for that, so maybe you might want to do that. That's how they were pushing themselves publicly. The issue is that in private, they were meeting with companies, getting deals, working with companies to possibly try and push some of their products in the West. They were looking to possibly sell some of the data onto some of these Japanese companies, even though they made no public statements about the possibility of them even thinking of selling the data on. And the way they were handling the data that they were collecting made them in many ways almost just basically a marketing company for a market research company and a marketing company for a lot of things, under the guise of, oh, we want to save the anime industry, we want to get new anime funded, stuff like that. A lot of their meetings within the time before they launched had been with Japanese companies to be like, okay, well, we could possibly make an arrangement for you to buy like analysis of our data and use that to base some of your decisions on and stuff like that. And yeah, that's a lot of it. So to summarize, it's basically that they were wanting to try and help fund new anime or influence what anime would be made, get involved within the production process and stuff like that. But while they've been saying that, they'd also not made public about the idea of them selling data on, the way they were handling data, the sort of things they were getting involved with. And they were not being completely honest with things such as they claimed to only have a certain amount of people involved with the company, and actually there was a lot more people involved with the company. They never made clear their links to other companies which they were also involved in, which could have benefited from some of the data, such as Otaku Pen Club, and lots of things that were really questionable regarding Flying Colours and what they were actually trying to do, basically. Yeah.
I mean, I think data is like such a sensitive subject, really. Especially like you talk about all of this like privacy stuff, people like freely giving up their data and a company using that to like sell. I just think of like shit, we just went through all of this Cambridge Analytica stuff of like...
No, it was very poor timing for all of this FCF coverage to go down, like in the wake of Cambridge Analytica. Unfortunate for them, because people sort of had this heightened sensitivity to the subject of data security. I
mean, we need that though. Yeah. Like, we've become so unbelievably lax about it. Like, I think if you went and told people like, hey, you know, Facebook is stealing all of your information and it could be going anywhere, you don't know, you know, most people would be like, yeah, but all my friends are on Facebook, you know.
Well, I mean, one thing that's quite interesting when it comes to the data stuff is that this was one of the main things that was a big issue for them, is that the way they were handling the data, they had no privacy policy, which was breaking laws within the state that they were in and with general federal law within the United States is where they were based. They also didn't have, because they're in California, they needed policies such as on how, say, a parent of a child who gave up their data could then request for that data to be deleted and not included in their stuff. They had no policies on that. So they were breaking multiple laws in terms of how they were handling the data. Other things which wouldn't have been an issue if they'd been open about them, they decided not to be open on, and that caused issues. Like, they claimed that they weren't, like, tracking, like, what was the exact wording? IPs, yeah. They claimed they weren't tracking IP addresses and stuff like that. They were.
Yeah.
Because they were using a service called Typeform, and as part of the privacy policy of Typeform, it notes that the things like IP addresses, browsers, and operating systems are collected. So they were claiming that they weren't, but they were. And that's not necessarily an issue. There's nothing, say, legally wrong about collecting the IP addresses, even if you can argue about it like, oh, I maybe don't want that to happen. But they weren't open about that. They didn't have any privacy policies. There was issues with the fact that it wasn't just say, oh, this is the sort of anime I like. This is the thing. Like, I'm not saying that data is less important, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like if you were going to be worried about two sets of data leaking, you're going to be less worried about, oh, this is what I said for the anime services I watch versus some of the other things, which by that I mean, they had questions they were asking relating to mental health. So they were asking whether you suffered from things like depression, ADHD, stuff like that. And then whether anime was helping with that and asking you to give your thoughts on your mental health condition, basically. So they were collecting mental health data while selling it on to, while having all of this stuff with how they were handling the data not being clear. And they later came out and said that they weren't planning on selling any data regarding any sharing any of the data about mental health outside of the company, but they had been collecting it, and there were plans to possibly use that on a bit of a wider scale than just within FCF, such as with some of the charities they were involved with, which included Anime for Humanity, which is a mental health anime charity.
Yeah. Anime for Humanity, if I can give a little aside, is an interesting case because there were three charities that the Flying Colors Foundation had said they were going to be working with. They've said they're not for profit, so any money they make, they're not keeping, they're giving to these charities. And Anime for Humanity, this mental health charity, after FCF shut down, they liked one of my tweets talking about the issues with FCF in spite of the fact that FCF was apparently working with them, so they seem to not be a fan.
Weird.
I mean, it possibly could have been that they weren't happy with how it made them look, having their name linked, but yeah.
I cannot fathom any anime or hobby-related business decision that could be made based on the aggregated mental health.
Here's what decision they were probably looking to make. In an interview with Forbes for an article on FCF, Daniel Su, I think, one of the guys running the show there at FCF, said that they wanted to show that anime can make a positive impact for mental health. So one of the follow-up question, if you did have any of those mental health conditions, would be on this 0 to 9 or 0 to 10, whatever it was, scale, what do you think has been the impact of anime on your mental health? 0 being it's made, or your mental health condition, has it exacerbated the condition, or has it helped relieve and make better the condition? And so what they specifically stated was their goal with that was to prove that anime can be a thing that helps with mental health conditions.
Yeah, their exact words on that, because I've actually still got all the documents related to that, and I have their actual initial public response that they responded to my first article with. And what they put questions there. I'll be honest, I don't necessarily know where these questions came from. I never asked them any questions.
Oh, right, this was that FAQ they put out, right?
Yeah, they put out a response to my article, which they sent to me first and asked if I could publish, and I published it on my Medium. I multiple times shared it because I felt like it deserved the same amount of sharing as them, because I didn't... for the whole time I was looking into FCF, it was basically that I've heard lots of issues about it from friends. I was starting to look into it more, and I had a lot of issues. So I was publicizing it. It grew bigger, and I want to be okay, I've looked at these issues. I want to publish a response. I want to look into it more, and I want to publish what I find from there. And I just, with going through I had doubts and I had worries, but I was going through it not oh, I'm out to get them. I want to get this. If things were going to be fine, then I was happy to say that, okay, everything's fine. But at the same time, if there were issues with what they were bringing up, that also needed to be made public and made aware. But so after that article, they made their own response to it with questions which I never asked. They made up themselves to answer their own stuff related to the article.
Right.
And one of them was, you claim that your goal is to aid the anime industry, but then in those circumstances, where do questions such as fans' mental health fit into this? It goes on a bit more. Like, you can still view the full thing elsewhere, so I'm not going to read the full thing. But then they were going social issues such as mental health stigma, LGBTQ representation, and ethnic minority representation are salient topics in the anime community that deserve more awareness. We believe these issues are not paid enough attention in the anime industry. Through questions about mental health and other social issues, we want to provide evidence that anime, in addition of being enjoyable, can also change lives for the better and promote meaningful social and cultural inclusion.
Oh, no.
No trust.
I mean,
zero trust there.
There's huge issues with that. I mean, like, even if you were going, like, on a sort of, like, neutral standpoint, you're also looking at, like, when you look at things, you can have a thesis of, this is what I want to prove and not prove, but you're not, like, I want to check this, no, you want to say, I want to check this theory, like, say, I think that gravity causes things to fall to the ground. Okay, let's test that. That would be sort of, like, hypothesis that you would want to find out, and you would do that with whatever tests or whatever surveys or whatever you need to do. When you're wording it in such a way, you are aiming for a certain goal. And really, when you're aiming for a certain goal, you can find anything in any data.
Yeah.
If you try hard enough. And that's a big issue, because then you're trying to influence things with answers that you're trying to find instead of answers that you naturally find.
Who was it? Was it Thoughts Motion that put out an article like on their mental health questions specifically and like really going into all the issues with their goals there?
It was on Anime Feminist. I know that.
Yeah,
like after
I saw that article.
Yeah, no.
After,
I'll link to that in the YouTube upload of this episode for anyone who wants to check that out.
I imagine there'll be a few links because there's far more to do with this whole thing than we can really cover in like a 50-minute segment on a podcast. One thing I will say for sure though is, oh god, I really would not want the anime community, the kind of anime community that is getting linked via Giguk and the Anime Man, their general consensus on LGBTQ topics really should not be listened to by anybody.
Yeah, no, do not want that. Not at all.
Yeah, I think me and Ferris can absolutely speak to
Oh god, no,
trying to
let
address
them
LGBT issues in the anime community and I would say the common response that you get from anime fans is just
I mean, the big issue as well was that, like, this was sort of them, like, they'd always made, like, even though, like, I was getting more stuff through, like, at this point, the first article that I made was basically a lot of, like publicly available information that I basically collected together and published. That was a lot of what was in the first article, but after that I'd started receiving more information about other things, and the thing is, I've been finding out that there was more, like, they'd been making a public message of, oh, we want to try and give a Western voice to the anime industry, but there was a lot more to what they were trying to do than that, which they weren't being very clear with. But with this statement, it's like, they're trying to fund new anime. Mental health, and trying to prove that mental health improves anime, doesn't help you give a voice to the anime industry by letting them know what anime to fund.
I could see a twisty way that you could link those two things. But yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. One thing I definitely want to cover before we run out of time is you yourself, I think, were probably the person to really blow this case wide open.
There was a lot of articles that came out around the time that I published my first one. But a lot of them I gave reference and credit to some stuff in that article to other people who their articles had helped me with this one. But my article did seem to be the one that grew the biggest of them all, and then I was the one who was mainly doing follow-ups. I was following up with new stuff that I was receiving.
Alicia sort of became like the face of the people looking into and covering FCF, and as a result of that, most of the people who sort of had information on them started coming to her and providing that.
Yeah, that's really what I would like to spend our remaining time talking about. I would very much like to know, well, first off, like, what made you decide to really just dig into this stuff? How much research did you actually do? And, like, I have to imagine you were pulling up state legislature on privacy and stuff and really filing through really tedious bullshit.
With some of that I was receiving like it was my articles that I was publishing, but I would not ever dare want to claim that all of it was my own work. Like, I had a lot of help with stuff, like, such as with the legal stuff. I had help for that because, as you might tell, I'm not American, so I'm not the most up to date with it. But I was helped with some of that stuff, and I checked it up, and there were a lot of issues with legality, with stuff such as the mental health stuff, and with the way that they were handling data, and so things like that I had help with. I was also provided information from others who had, like, for example, like Canberra had been asked with stuff with possibly being an influencer, and they spoke to me a bit about a couple of things which were published in the article. Of course, Digibro made was telling us about how even though they'd been claiming not to be making payments or that no influencer was being positively done, they were receiving payments, stuff like that. So more information came, but a lot of the reason that I initially went into everything was because even, like, I'd heard their name a few months ago, but I'd never thought much of it, even though a couple of people were kicking up a bit of a smell about it.
Mm-hmm.
But once it was getting close to the new, you could say relaunch, but it was really the first official launch.
That was going to be the official launch.
Yeah, that those things have been coming up again, and with a lot more intensity, and there was something being brought up that I was concerned about, to be honest. I was a bit like, this does not sound very good. This is something that I want to look into, and if I can make a bit of awareness on some of the issues, if there is any issues, then I want to look into it, find the issues. If there are any, say, okay, there's nothing to worry about if there isn't, or if there is, then yeah, there's these issues, and just basically publish it and make it aware, and that's how everything started. But then it just went from there. Like...
Yeah, I can imagine it was definitely something that snowballed.
Yes, it was from there, like, a lot of the stuff, like, for example,
oh, can I ask?
Yeah? Was
there a, like, definitive, holy shit, I'm onto something moment?
One of, like, the big bombshells was, that statement from Digi. So the way that came about was I'm in, Digibro's Discord. Someone actually patroned me, like, the money to go patron Digi to be in his patron exclusive Discord because they wanted me in there. So I was in there, I think because Alicia's previous articles had come out. There was chatting about it, and Digibro was in there. And so when I was talking with him, he dropped the fact that they had paid him that consulting fee early on. And so I asked for his permission to grab that and provide that to Alicia. And so that was... because that was sort of the most blatant, just outright contradiction of what FCF had said publicly. We never paid anyone. Hey, FCF paid me. And that was one of the ones that got more sort of viral and stuck out in people's minds, just because it's like the most simple and easy to understand one. There's not like this complicated
but like
law,
before that even, like, was there like in the, like, so you said that, like, you caught a whiff of something, not being quite right. Well, was there an early moment
the funny thing is,
I'm onto something?
That article where that information first gets shared was, like, already drafted up, and Alicia was getting ready to
I was
publish
about
that.
to publish it, yeah. I was
And I was like,
it was
wait, stop the presses, hold on, we gotta add new info.
I was going to publish it within like half an hour, and then you just suddenly stopped me, just like, wait, stop, I've got this. Digibro was paid. And I was just like, are you kidding? And then I put it off to the next day to publish, because what was originally going to happen is that after that first article and I got that statement, I was going to be interviewing the people behind FCF, and I was going to be talking to them, asking them questions. They asked me to give them some topics beforehand, and I gave them topics that was just like, I want to talk about finances, I want to talk about data handling. Things that were, I did not want to give specifics, so I didn't want to be like, oh, then they could prepare ahead of time, and then it's just going to be like that. I feel like I wanted to get a true response. I wanted to get a response that gave all the necessary information and told us everything that we needed to. And I didn't feel like giving them
the exact questions.
Ahead of time, and I didn't. But I'd already told them that I was doing a follow-up article, and that follow-up article would be published after the interview. And I was going to ask them some questions related to the article, but because what I initially planned is I'd had the questions prepared, but then I was going to be asking them about some of the stuff that I was publishing in the article. So like I was going to ask them about stuff regarding their discussions with some of the Japanese companies that they said they said they were going to be talking to with some of the data that they collected. But then after I'd asked all these questions, I was going to ask them stuff in the article, which included more stuff like about how they were like, this is a big thing, because even though with the article, I'm sorry, I'm a bit jumping all over, but hopefully you're bearing with me. But with even though one of the big bombshells was the payment, because it was just the most blatant example of them saying they were doing something and just it was completely not true, and it was not the case at all. And it did get most traction, because after each article I tweeted out basically the main points of each article, following in on a tweet thread. And the ones that were getting the most retweets and likes were the ones such as Digibro got paid when FTF said they were paying anyone. But there were other things in the production of the second article, such as so FCF were non-profits. They were going to be giving away their money that they made as profit and stuff. Although, there was some questions with how exactly they would classify profit, which I was going to ask them, but we never had the interview in the end, because they put off the interview at the last minute. And then I said I was going, like, literally about half an hour before the interview was going to happen, they said, okay, this might not be able to go ahead. And I said, well, I will be publishing the article the next, on the thing, but we can still have the interview after. And they were thinking, okay. They never followed up on that after the new article got published, I will say that. But no, there was a lot of things that they were saying that just weren't the case. Like, in their statement specifically, they said, okay, there's 7 people involved with us. The 6 people we've listed, plus Ian Condry, which is listed as an advisor on the document. But the thing is, they had an intern who was not listed anywhere, but they'd had noted on their LinkedIn that they were helping with them, and they'd confirmed that in other cases that they had this intern. There were also other advisors who were helping out with FCF, and that completely changed about the 7, even though they were saying specifically that there were a total of 7 people affiliated. And that they would even be clear and update and announce things, which wasn't happening. But then, the big thing for me, actually, in that second article wasn't even Digibro's thing, even though that was a big thing. It was the way that when they were talking to the Japanese companies, they weren't, at least at first, portraying themselves as a non-profit. They were putting themselves across as a venture where they could be selling them data analysis based on surveys they've done with, or data they've collected from international anime fans that could help inform their decisions. That's how they were pushing themselves across to Japanese companies, which of course is completely different to what their public message was. they were being, we want to give the international anime industry a voice. We want to help improve the industry. We want to help improve working conditions. We want to help improve the anime that's being created. But when they're actually talking to companies like, we're a venture who are working to, who want to sell you data to do that. And once you're going into those realms, you're like, well, why weren't you saying that up front? And the other thing with the Otaku Pin Club stuff, because Otaku Pin Club, as I mentioned them before, they were formed by the same people who founded FCF. Giguk's involvement came from the Otaku Pin Club collaboration that he did. He made a couple of pins with them that got sold, and there were the shared profits between them. And he advertised it on his channel, and like they'd work together to make 2 different anime pins. Going with the whole anime is trash. Like I think one of them was
Eromanga Sensei trash.
Yeah, Eromanga. Yes. Yes, like in a bin, and then there was one with Umara-chan, and yeah.
Give these people a voice. Japan needs to hear them.
But like Otaku Pin Club, they claim to be divested, but they were at least involved in administrating the community, because there was a Discord server that they had, and they were administrators on it, and they were definitely working with them. Like still, and as we later found out going further on when the 3rd article was happening, which I did not expect to be having to do, but there was just so much that was coming out about how they were portraying themselves to companies, which was just like, you're claiming to be a non-profit helping us, but then why won't you tell us what's happening? Why are you selling data without telling us? Why are you doing all these things, not putting yourself forward as a non-profit while saying to us, oh, we're a good non-profit, we are trying to help the industry, we're going to give away our profits to these different things, you should trust us. When all of this was happening at the same time behind the scenes, how are we supposed to trust you?
Yeah, I mean that was the general vibe that I was picking up just throughout. Is just a case of like, okay, yeah, another contradiction. Yeah, okay, that's really shady. Like that's even shadier. I
mean, one thing I was very clear with through the articles is that a lot of the stuff that they were doing, one of the big issues that they had throughout was just, well, why aren't you giving full disclosure? Why aren't you saying things like, when it's basic things like how many people are involved and you're not telling us the full extent of who's involved? When it's things like, there wouldn't have been an issue with paying, say, Digibro for consultation. It wouldn't be an issue paying others for consultation because there were other people that were paid for consultation. That wouldn't have been a problem.
It would have been so easy to just have said in a public statement, instead of saying, we have never paid influencers, have said, early on in the company, we paid a number of our influencers a small consultation fee to get their advice on the company, and since then have not paid any influencers. Like, that's all you had to say. Like, it was very easy to, like, okay, that's understandable. Like,
also,
I don't have
one kind of pedantic point I definitely want to bring up is, I really can't I don't know if I can get my head around the idea that anime YouTubers are the kind of people you need to pay to get their opinions out of them. You know what I mean? Like, I feel
they didn't after the fact. Like, they hit Digibro up with that first consultation fee. And then they talked, I believe it was 5 to 6 times afterwards.
And those weren't paid, no.
And even though
to me that just seems like an excuse for money to change hands rather than like,
it's like there's sort of tactics seem to be to get YouTubers sort of attention with money, but like the YouTubers just.
But that's such a positive bias. Like
said it.
It's so clearly
sort of like said no. Like it's cool. Anime charity helping the community sounds good to me. And they like were on board to help without payment.
Yeah.
And I believe some of them also know to like who was it? Giguk, I think, when he found out they were pledging to his Patreon, was like, hey, stop pledging my Patreon. Like, that's not your, like, non-profit. Like, don't pay me. That's kind of bad. So
yeah. As far like, from everything we collected, Giguk didn't get paid, like, after those Patreon things, but those Patreon things were linked to Otaku Pain Club, but of course, Pain Club led into FTF.
Yeah. It's messy, it's messy boundaries. And again, something entirely understandable and like forgivable if they just said it to us.
Yeah. One thing I really, because there's one thing I really, really want to touch on, which I think is maybe something like a side of this that I feel like, because like if people have been following along with the articles, I feel like people probably know everything we've just talked about for the last half an hour already. The one thing I would like to know about, I want to talk to you, Alicia, about the Backlash.
I mean, there is actually one other thing I want to bring up, which does sort of link to the Backlash, so I'll bring that in when it becomes relevant. Is that okay?
Yeah, just keep time in mind, because we have.
Yeah.
I knew this was going to be a long topic, but the Backlash to me is, I mean, that's, you know, as someone who knows you, is something I am particularly interested in talking to you about and hearing what you have to say about, more than stuff that I could go and read in an article.
A lot of the Backlash seemed to actually come after the third article was published, which was published after FCF had closed, because what had happened is after the second article, I got contacted by someone who had been wanting to be an anonymous source. Have since outed themselves because they got outed by Giguk, actually, for their identity. So, because I made a point of making sure the article was anonymous, but they'd actually been involved with the company for a span of multiple months and had some stuff from the time they were working there, which was quite damning. And honestly, I feel like in some way they would have had more of an impact if FCF hadn't closed before the publication had happened. But the big thing from it was that they had a list of 6 influencers. They had Digibro, Giguk, Mother's Basement, Anime Man, Aki Dearest, and... Who am I forgetting? Oh, who am I forgetting?
Aki
I can
Dearest.
tell you, sorry.
No, I've mentioned Aki Dearest.
Anime
Either
Man?
way, there were 6 No, I mentioned it. Either way, there were 6 influencers. And they were all, like, going to be people who were going to promote the stuff that they were doing through, say, their YouTube and stuff, but that's fair enough. The issue was, both the Anime Man and the Giguk had been claiming they were influencers. They were just help, like they gave these consultations. They were going to promote stuff. Of course, FCF had helped the Anime Man with the poll, but that's all they were. They were just influencers like any of the others. But what was actually the case is that they were both deeply involved within the day-to-day operations of the company. Giguk and the Anime Man were both helping to make business decisions with the people running FCF. They were meeting with Japanese companies on FCF's behalf and to talk about FCF. The Anime Man was going to be helping with the opening of a Japanese branch at some point of Flying Colours. They were both way more involved than they were claiming to be. And they were both, there was stuff such as how, they were going to be, Otaku Pin Club was originally going to have some involvement with FCF because they were going to possibly make Flying Colours pins. And there was loads of stuff, but all of these decisions, Giguk and the Anime Man were working alongside them with and were involved in making the decisions, helping work out what was going to happen with the company. But they were claiming to be further distant. And honestly, it was that article that got the most backlash. Because while...
You were dragging these beloved people into the mud.
Well,
really.
I don't think it probably helped that the 2 people who happened to be the most involved, and they're who happened to be deeply involved, and therefore the ones I mentioned, happened to be the 2 with over 1 million subscribers each. I don't think that probably helped too much, but yeah.
I mean, I think that's something you see mirrored in just any type of investigative journalism. If people love something and someone comes out and just tells you the truth about how they're kind of shit, people are not going to like that just because, I don't know, I don't think I personally struggle with separating those kind of issues, but I know some people definitely do.
Yeah.
The thing that sort of became like the symbol of the response, for some of us at least, was a reply to a tweet of Giguk's, which was his initial response to the earlier articles. and like his take on the FCF. That was when he was still like, no, FCF is good, guys. It's a misunderstanding. Before he went, actually, what the FCF has done is like they've done some things that are inexcusable, and I've got serious questions now. There was a reply to that tweet with his response there, and it said, I knew that as long as my favorite YouTubers were saying FCF was okay, there couldn't be anything suspicious going on. Like something very, very closely along those lines. The general idea that's getting at, of course, is this sort of blind faith in the YouTubers you idolize.
Yeah. But it's just the thing is that they were both claiming it, but like I didn't publish a lot of the stuff that I had that proved it.
Yeah, that was
because obviously I couldn't, and like I shouldn't, and even the stuff I did was heavily censored to the point where it only showed off the bits that were relevant, and everything else was just kept more, like that wasn't necessary, just was censored out because obviously, but like I had stuff that was showing Giguk being involved, the anime ban being involved. The thing that got me as well is that Giguk statement that he made saying that, oh, it's not a scam, they spoke to me this time, but everything's fine and stuff, and they were still playing themselves off an influencer. They've been working on that statement alongside people working at FCF within an FCF business chat. They worked on that statement together and then put themselves off as an influencer.
Ooh,
the anime man just... Yes, that was one of the things that really irked me a lot, to be honest. Like, but it's like there were also, but like he claimed to have so much separation. Same with the anime man. Both of them were working on the business divisions, helping like open Japanese branches, talk to Japanese companies on FCF's behalf. You can't claim you're just an influencer if you're doing all of this. And then also, like, I mean, I'd say, honestly, the anime man's involvement was a lot worse than Giguk's because the anime man was the one who was directly helping to open, like, the Japanese branch and stuff. And the fact that he hasn't responded at all to these comments,
he
alongside other comments.
Statement. Loved, I think it was after your article that talks about the AnyTubers, after your final article there, released. A few hours after that, he posted a video to his Twitter.
No, that was just before. It was just before.
Okay, so that was after the third article. And he said, nothing but positivity, and then linked the video.
That was like 15 minutes before I posted the article.
That felt to me like a very pointed response to what was going on, and just like the fact that he was not going to acknowledge it.
Yeah, like, there was, like...
But you want to get to the backlash itself now?
Yeah, because... I basically, the main thing came because of the fact that I'd now brought Giguk and the anime man and said, well, actually, they're involved in this mess. And I have this proof that they're involved with this mess. And suddenly, Giguk, who was so happy to be like, oh, these articles bring up some good points in tweets that he made in reply to other people, how he was quite positive in like discussions with me and like privately and positive with things that he'd said publicly as well, had suddenly turned into questioning my integrity and saying that I was biased and then saying that I was lying and didn't have proof. Like some of the stuff that I published as proof, I published after the fact because I had the proof unpublished, but I made sure not to publish it because I've been asked to not to by the source, and some of it had been like, well, if I publish it, then like I'm possibly publishing like the business documents, which I'm not entirely sure I want to do. In the end, I did publish a small amount with like that. I only published a dashboard that was censored otherwise, but it showed their involvement.
Yeah, no,
but I'd already had
really blew me away when Giguk said like, well, you don't have the evidence. Like, he was in a position where he clearly knew she had, like, the evidence, and, like, as she'd said, like, I just, like, here is what these things I have say. I've provided enough, like, info that you should be able to believe that, like, I have access to this stuff, but I don't want to post these specific things because it would, like, share info that maybe shouldn't be shared. And he just, like, fucking called her bet, and then you had to call his bluff there and publish some of the thing to substantiate what she was claiming.
But the issue was is that by the time I had a chance to do that, it had been a couple of hours, because even though he's in the same time zone, he posted at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and I was asleep, obviously. So it had a couple of hours where the only public statement was, "Oh yeah, well, you're lying." And I had no way to respond because I was asleep, because I had the stuff. But
I will say I myself have personal experience dealing with Giguk's fan base. Nowhere near the same level, but yeah, I mean, I know what it feels like to wake up and have over 1,000 notifications.
Things being targeted at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Reddit thread got quite intense, and like the thing is, he published one thing, because the one thing I did publish within the article was a censored chat log between my source and the and Giguk, which with him basically talking about his involvement, like, "Oh, I can get you up to speed" and stuff like that. And I'd censored bits because it identified the source, so he just published it without the censorship that I put in, which identified him. And like he eventually came in and was just like, okay, like he wrote a load of stuff about it. In reply, and I added stuff, and things just basically got into a long, heated discussion. I'd offered to speak to Giguk. I'd said to him he can have someone there with him so he can prove that I'm not going to misconstrue anything he says. But then he was like, "I don't trust you." But then there was issues with, like, he just didn't want, like, he'd suddenly gone from being quite a positive thing about, "Oh, it's good that you're bringing this stuff to light," to, "Oh no, this is bad." And then I had some of their fans coming in against it as well. And the Anime Man just never responded at all. He made videos in the time since, and he never even brought it up. He's never mentioned on Twitter.
He did. There was a tweet from another YouTuber. Careful reminder to never say anything to anyone. And Joey liked that in the
who was that? Which one sent that?
That was from Otaku versus Yusef. He was in the anime YouTuber chat and had a few similarly passive aggressive remarks in there.
Yeah,
but you can tell that some of the conversation, as soon as it went from just being on FCF to being, "Oh, these YouTubers were deeply involved and were actually lying to you about how much they were involved," then it suddenly becomes, "Oh dear."
Yeah.
Like,
this,
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with this now.
Condemn and distance himself from FCF as info continued to come out. But all of a sudden, like, Alicia's basic intentions, which, like, should have been there, like, from the start, but those came into question upon the critique of these anime YouTubers.
Yeah.
And following on from that, because the thing is, one of the things that I expected to be quite big with the article, which I did still put in because it was still relevant after FCF's closure, but in the end wasn't too big because the YouTuber stuff sort of took over, is that I mentioned about how FCF were involved with Otaku Coin.
Yep.
Which, of course, is like...
I mean, I have very strong opinions about
I don't think we need to go
Coin.
into Otaku Coin too much now. I would say, for anyone who's listening, who's interested, Canepa the Canepa Effect did a really good video talking about a load of issues with Otaku Coin and how it's being managed at the moment. That really does expose some really big flaws with that. And
honestly, it really just, for me personally, it goes absolutely not a single step further than just Palmer Lucky being involved. As soon as I found that out, I was like, yeah, if this thing ever gets off the ground, I'm going to be incredibly angry.
There are lots of similarities to FCF in that it's a new thing claiming to be helping the anime industry, but actually there's a lot more going on that maybe suggests it's not really doing that too much. In a lot of ways, there's similarities there, but the YouTuber stuff happened. Following on from that article, my articles got flagged a lot.
I can imagine.
And in the end, actually got taken down. And in the time since, I've been unable to get them back up because I've not been able to get response from Medium support. But yeah,
are there mirrors anywhere? Like, do you have? Like a WordPress version?
It's on the Wayback Machine, and I've currently made, like, just the other day I made a mirror of all of my because I can still access all my posts. Like, I'm actually looking.
So you have access to the text, yeah.
Like my it's not like if it's all been deleted off Medium stuff. I can still access it. It's just nobody else can. So like I'm actually looking at my Medium account right now, and I can see all my posts.
I mean,
and
that
everything.
itself is so shady. He's like, in a way, this guy who has been incriminated, fan base is mobilized to completely shut down.
I don't feel like it's just him. I feel like because one of the things that was brought up is the reasoning for suspending is that there was issues with some of the some of the things that were being included in the article, which mainly seemed to revolve around the public business filing.
Mm-hmm.
There was an issue with the public business filing that was on the post, and that was deemed to be in violation of some of Medium's rules. But the issue was I removed that before the thing got taken down. It still got taken down.
Yeah.
And I've now not been struggling to get a response from Medium, but that's a bit besides the point.
I feel like at this point, like, it's the fact that those articles have gone down now is not the end of the world. I'm really glad that they did not go down, and to a degree would have helped certain people escape the attention more than they did.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it sucks that they've gone down, but I would say people got a chance to read those articles. Like, yeah.
I am going to be publishing them on my WordPress mirror. I actually copied most of my posts across, but I had to go out, and then I've just kept on not getting around to publishing them up.
Yeah.
Obviously, by the time this podcast goes out, those posts will be on my WordPress mirror. They might be on my Medium, aka Social Annie Girl Rambles, or socialannygirlrambles.wordpress.com. You should maybe have a look at them and look at my other posts. I'm going to shamelessly plug this now.
Hell yeah.
Go on. But yeah, they'll be up on there by the time this podcast goes out. And they are still on the web archive anyway, so...
Yeah. Right, I'm going to put the line in the sand here for where I'm going to start wrapping up the show, because... I can feel like we could keep talking about this for like another hour, probably.
Probably. There is more that's not being brought up, but I just say, get the articles read. Yeah.
Yeah. My closing question to you, Alicia, is how does it feel being anime's premier investigative journalist? I fucked that word up, who cares?
You said it eventually.
Yeah.
The thing is, it wasn't even my intention to be like, I'm an investigative journalist. I was mainly just, it came from concerns that I had that other people had brought up to me. I had concerns, so I looked into it, and then it just spiraled from there.
But
I never expected
That's it, though. That's it. You've got that. That's the instinct. That's the drive. You caught a whiff and you followed the scent. That is what that is.
I never expected to receive some of the information I got, which led to the second post, and I certainly never expected the third post. I published the second post, and within hours, the source would contact me saying, I have all of this stuff which is pretty bad, and then suddenly I had the third article on the work. So I never expected things to happen. I was just voicing my concerns, and then I was looking into things in more depth. I was like, okay, there's these major issues, and it just spiraled. Yeah. Here's
the question though: is are you, real talk? Are you looking for the next scoop, or is this a one-off?
I don't want to have the stress.
I think she might want some time off for now.
I spent a week non-stop on this.
Hectic.
It was intense.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe here's a better question. Would you do it again? Let's say you catch a whiff of something else in the future. Would you do this all again?
If I became worried about something to a point that I felt like I needed to raise a voice, then I would. I've made public tweets in response to Canopa's video on Otaku Coin, because I have a lot of issues with that. But I unless I had something new to bring up, I don't feel like making anything is going to do anything when you've got kind of a video which brings up a lot of the issues. And I mean, if I had a lot of worries and I had stuff that I feel should be known about something that was affecting the anime industry, and you've had FCF and you've had got Otaku Coin, both things that are deeply involved, which are claiming to help the industry, claiming to
Yeah.
help fans, and not.
I mean, if I look at the trend, I see that there's probably something else that's going to come along trying to do similar stuff.
all
you know.
things come in threes.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
like if it came along and I felt there was a need to, then I would. But I'm not going to be
Hell
actively
yeah.
searching it out.
I mean, the thing is, though, I feel like at this point, people will probably start sending you tips. I think that might start happening. I mean, it probably has to a degree. Like, oh, hey, maybe you should check out this thing, this con, perhaps this guy in the industry.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean,
just expect it. Is what I'm all I'm gonna say.
I'm going to get suddenly a message like, come to the
Meet me.
come to the riverfront at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I've got the scoops. Both
Come
sit
alone.
on a bench, one at either side. Get handed a brown envelope.
Yeah. If you do, if there is a second scoop, by the way, I'm buying you one of those like reporter's caps with like a little bit of paper in it.
No, it's got to be like the top hats, like what like. I don't know, like a Leighton hat. I want a Leighton hat if that happens.
We'll get
Ooh,
you a Leighton hat.
That's cool.
Yes,
Yeah, hell
yes.
Okay.
Who wants to
Get
be
in.
Luke? Who wants to be Luke?
Oh,
Let's wrap this one up,
can
guys.
I be Luke?
Yeah.
Yes, you can be Luke. There we
Yes.
So,
We got it.
there's one thing we have to do before we end the podcast.
The legacy segment.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, we need to have an in-depth discussion about battle royale games. No, I'm kidding. No, we need to decide what trans culture is.
Oh, I completely forgot about this. Oh dear.
Yeah.
I'll think of something. Go with me last.
It's all right. It's okay. The bar's pretty low. Don't worry about it
I
too
know.
much.
Let's see.
Who is prepared?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Trans culture.
Lachlan.
Oh no.
I got to do it. It's got. Come on. Lachlan. What is trans culture this week?
Trans culture this week is alienating the majority of your peers and potential business partners by revealing the biggest members of the community's complicitness in a shady for-profit scheme. In spite of the fact that all your fellow content creators are best friends with these people.
That's definitely trans culture right now.
Yeah.
Pretty
That's
specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty relatable. To be honest, I think we've all been there. Ferris, do you have one?
Yeah. Hold on. Okay. This week, trans culture is.
What is that?
There's a Porg plush I have next to my
Oh my god. That's so strong.
recording
Yes.
area, and I just grabbed him and I was like, you know what, you're trans culture this week, little buddy.
That is so in the spirit of what I wanted this to be.
It is.
That I'm actually
Multi-medium.
I'm going to pull my contender out of the fight because I want to give it to that.
Oh right, you had a heavy hitter coming up this
I was
this
going
week,
for
but
the
now
I was
you're
going
not-
for the hat trick. I was going for the three in a
You're
row.
not too confident now.
No, I'm pulling it. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm pulling it. I'm going to say that this week, trans culture is shit. Watching 100 episodes of Dragon Ball Z in a week, and just realizing that you never knew what Dragon Ball was really about. And you had been lied to and misguided. It is really just a story about people finding wives and having adorable children.
It's true. It's actually very true.
Yeah.
Did you really watch 100 episodes of Dragon Ball this week?
I think it was like 70.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You're strong.
No, I got a fucked up life, that's all.
All right.
Alicia, what is trans culture this
Okay,
week?
I got one. Trans culture this week is having the new anime season start and picking out the shows you want to watch and not watching them because you can't find the right moment to start it when you want to have the right moment to start it. And watching the show that you're not interested in
Yes.
instead, hating them, and then instead of watching other things, going and watching Steven Universe instead.
That's incredibly relatable.
Yeah.
That is very relatable.
I'm gonna give my vote to Alicia's this week. That one
Yeah.
is...
Oh, I
I'm
know.
gonna-
I love the Porg. Okay, Ferris, I love the Porg. I love the spirit of the Porg. I just love like transculture being grabbing something off your desk and squeezing it. But no, Alicia, I think it's you.
Yeah,
this week.
it's really
Congratulations.
incredibly relatable.
It really is.
I can't list how many times a new anime season's come out and been like, this is the show I want to catch the most this season, and then I don't ever start it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely done that.
All this other stuff that like I'm less interested in is going to be a chore to get through. So like I'll take care of that first. Like I want to watch this, so I'll have no trouble getting to
it's
it,
like when
and then
you leave...
never get to it.
It's like when you have a huge plate of food and you're like, oh, I'll leave the best for last. I'll leave all of my tasty meat for the last. I'll get all of my gross greens out of the way, and then you fill up on greens and you can't finish the meat.
I waited literally like years for Prisma Ilia Dry, and then the season came out, the movie came out. It's been like a year now for the movie. I haven't watched either.
No.
That's probably that's probably a good thing though, let's be honest.
Yeah, probably.
This is actually me with the Kiniro Mosaic OVA. I adore the two seasons of Kiniro Mosaic. Like I own the Japanese Blu-rays and everything, but then the OVA happened. It's been out for ages and I'm still yet to watch it, and it is my like big shame. I really need to get to that at some point. Like,
okay, I think again we could talk for hours about the anime we fucked up by not watching.
Yes,
but yeah, that's that has been the Transculture Club episode 5. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for Alicia for both editing and also coming on to talk about an important topic and christening our first ever over 2 hour long podcast, not counting the book club.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, you were so interesting. I gave you an extra 30 minutes.
Yay! I stole your award, and I'm not going to give it back. So I'm sorry, your Transculture award's just never coming back now.
It's all right. I never gave my 2 back either. I'm keeping them. Yeah, we will see everyone next week. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye. There we go. Yay!